Hi, this is Ryan Turner from VWDiesel.net, and today we are going to be doing a review and install of the BuzzKen EGR Delete for an ALH motor. This covers a 98 Beetle up to an 03 Beetle, also a 99 Jetta or Golf up to an 03. Now these kits are made of very good materials. The Racepipe here that we have is CNC milled aluminum that has a bung for an EGR or for a boost gauge, but it also comes with a plug in the kit in case you don't have a boost gauge installed. Comes with a new O-ring for that as well. And it comes with 3 new bolts to attach your race pipe to the manifold. In addition, it comes with an EGR block-off port with new bolts for that as well. A line to tie the vacuum lines together, or a T to tie the vacuum lines together, and a replacement hose to bypass the EGR cooler. Simply plug this in and stick it into the head, and there you go. So we are going to perform this task on a 99 Beetle that has seen better days. It was hit by deer along with several other things, so it's mainly an off-road use vehicle, which is what the EGR kit is for, off-road use only. So follow me over to the car and we will begin the process. All right, here we have a 99 Beetle. If you have a Jetta or Golf, things may look just slightly different, but the process is still the same. We're going to start with removing the air intake tube. And then we are going to remove the clamps and remove the air box tube. Here we're going to take the EGR off itself, the EGR valve. We're going to start with the EGR cooler hose from the bottom. There are 2 6mm Allens on the top, 2 6mm Allens on the other end that are on the EGR cooler. Space is tight. I have this nice little mini ratchet combo set that I use for spaces like this, but an L-shaped Allen can work just fine, or a normal ratcheting wrench. So we simply loosen those up and then remove the hose, watching to make sure that we don't drop the gaskets, because the gaskets will fall out. We will lose those. Next, we're going to take the EGR valve off. There are 3 5mm. There are 2 on the top and 1 on the bottom. With the turbo inlet tube, we're going to start by taking off this connector. Simply apply it on the clip and pull up. And now we have the EGR tube. Just push on both sides of that, and eventually it will remove with some wiggling. There we go. Now we'll kind of pop this up and move it out of the way. Random other clamp. Okay, now we're going to take off this 10mm bolt. And we'll put it back in the hole just so that we don't have to worry about losing it. There are a variety of hoses clipped to the top of this, so we are going to work at removing those from their clips so that we can slide the tube down and remove it out of our way. So now you can see that the tube is rather loose, and we will move to the side to take it the rest of the way off. There's a 10mm bolt right here that secures it to the intake manifold. So we will remove that bolt, and then we will take the line off the vacuum hose here that spins, that goes all the way down to the turbo. And the only thing we have left to remove is the clamp actually on the turbo itself. All right, now using a pair of hose clamp pliers, we're going to slide all the way down onto the turbo. Now this is kind of hard to film, so you'll have to feel around with your eyes, but on the turbo where this pipe comes out, there is a clamp that is usually oriented the wrong way, but you can usually feel around and with some persuasion get the clamp pliers on the clamp and then pull it off Now that the clamp is removed, we could either remove the pipe or simply just slide it down here out of the way. There's plenty of room for it down there, and it just saves us the hassle of looping it through everything to get it out. Next, we are going to take the control solenoid for the EGR valve off. There's a simple clip right here, and it pulls off the bracket. You just simply pull up on that tab and slide it off the bracket, and we will tuck that up out of the way. Next, we're on to the EGR cooler to turbo line. There are two 6mm Allens here, and then two 12mm socket bolts down here. They tend to seize up on you, so it's a good idea to spray them with Croil, WD-40, or PB Blaster like I've done here. Give them ample time to set. Then once that tube is removed, we will go on to the EGR cooler itself. Once those 4 bolts are removed, you simply remove the EGR cooler pipe and the gasket together. And you can see there's even some stuff kind of stuck down that far down. The EGR cooler is held on with 3 bolts. They are 10mm. There's one on the top in the center, one on the bottom right here, and then one on the bottom right over here. Simply remove those 3 bolts and the EGR cooler will now come loose. With the 3 10mm bolts removed, the EGR cooler is now free. You can see it moving around here. If you are cleaning your intake manifold because it is clogged with EGR gases, you will go ahead and remove the 6mm Allens that hold this on, soak it in diesel fuel, and then pour the diesel fuel out and use compressed air and propane to clean the manifold out. We actually discussed this in another video, which I will post in the show notes. Now we will begin the EGR deleting process using our parts from BuzzKen. At the first step in our EGR deletion process, we are going to take our block-off plate and gasket and new nuts and put them on the flange coming off of the turbo, and we are going to torque those down to 18 foot-pounds. Next, we're going to use pliers to remove the clamps off of either side of this fitting and this T-fitting here. Then we will replace the fitting with the hose barb here, and that will delete these lines going, this one going to the heater core and this one going down to the EGR cooler. And there you go. Now we will remove the air box and take our pliers and remove the clamp on the hose on the side of the head. Once that is done, you can go ahead and remove this hose. A lot of times they get stuck and you have to use things like a pick or a flathead screwdriver to loosen this up. And assuming that you've already drained the coolant, you may still lose just a little bit of coolant residual in these hoses. Now we are going to remove the EGR cooler and lines from the car. Now off of the old EGR setup, we are going to take the hose clamp that came off of the side of the head. We're going to take that, and then we are going to use the hose clamp that came off of here and place them on our new cable. The clamps are on the hose already, and the piece needs to be ordered a certain way because it is keyed. So we have the big key at the top and the clamp at the bottom, and we are going to slide it on the hose. Now I have a slight coat of grease on this to help it slide into the hose and to help you to position it once you get it in there. So it will fit just like this with the keeper piece down. So we will slide our hose clamp on and go to install it. With the new hose in place, The end simply slides on the heater core, clipping it into place, and then take the other end, placing it on the outlet flange, and then slide the clamp down. Now that part of the cooling system of the EGR Delete is complete. Now we are going to take our turbo tube and pull it up into position, getting our coolant hose out of the way. We will take and slide the inlet on the turbo. Then we will bolt our 2 bolts in and then secure it back into place with the hose clamp. With our intake tube installed, we are now ready to install the race pipe. We are not using a boost gauge on this car, so we have put the plug in there and tightened it down all the way. We have installed our O-ring, and now we are ready to put the 3 new bolts supplied with the kit on the intake manifold. Helps if you orient it the right way. And now since we're here, we're going to install our intake tube. Now we are going to reinstall our air box. Make sure that you get the vacuum line that goes to the air box and plug it in. As well as the mass airflow connector. And on a Beetle, these are kind of in the way, but just kind of be careful not to break anything on those. Now we are going to try to tidy up this area. We're going to take our PCV valve, plug it back in, make sure it's all firm, plug in the plug for that, clip this bracket back up here where it belongs on the pipe. And now we can reinstall our air intake tube going from the air box to the turbo inlet. Now it is time to take care of the vacuum system going to the EGR. If you remember, we have this solenoid that has an open vacuum line, and we have this main vacuum line that actually operated the EGR valve itself. So what we are going to do is we're going to remove this line off of this solenoid. Now these lines get pretty sticky. Sometimes they will not come off. You can use a pick to try to pry them off. And if that doesn't work, you can take a X-Acto knife blade and you can cut it down the side with an X-Acto knife blade and pull it off of that way. With the line removed, I have a multi-pack of vacuum line clips that I bought at AutoZone. They're just little silicone covers for vacuum lines, and we're going to find one of the appropriate size and just cap it. Now we have this main hose, and we're going to follow it back and cap it over on the EGR valve. Here is the main vacuum line for the EGR valve itself. It goes to here, so we are going to remove it from this solenoid and cap it with an appropriate sized cap like we did on the other solenoid. With the line removed and capped, we can now pull it out of the old harness and remove it from the car. Now we simply fish the old solenoid back into place below here. And that is it as far as the installation goes. You want to make sure, check all your vacuum lines, check all your fittings, just go over, double check everything, see if you missed anything. You will have to now add the coolant that you drained from the radiator to change the coolant hoses out, and you're ready to go. With this procedure, installing a race pipe and deleting the EGR, you will have a check engine code on all the time for your EGR. The only way to get rid of that is with an ECU tune. This kit was supplied to us by our friends at fixmyvw.com, and they offer quality Malone tunes, and they can hook you up for about $100 for a tune to delete the EGR from your computer itself too. But if you're going to send your ECU in to do that or flash it yourself, you might as well go ahead and get a stage 1 tune while you're there. Alright, so that wasn't too bad, was it? This process can be done in a couple hours with simple hand tools. And if you'd like to purchase this kit from our friends at fixmyvw.com, you can find the links in the show notes section or the comment section if you're watching this straight on YouTube. If you have any questions or would like to make any suggestions, please feel free to leave those in the comment section as well, and we'll try to answer those as they come in. Once again, this is Ryan Turner from VWDiesel.net. I thank you for watching my video and have a good day.